Hey everybody, welcome back. Devin, OG, original Gartnard. It's been a while since we sat down and talked, and so I figured, let's go ahead and do this. It's been a while since I've actually done anything at all with the channel, especially live. And I hate these, I can never set up, and of course someone's calling me. I can never set up my camera to be directly, whatever. It's a phone camera. What do you expect? So yeah, we're just gonna give this a couple seconds. Have it pop up out there in the real world on YouTube notifications. If anybody's still watching. Yeah, I know. Bad hair day. I need to get a haircut. Scruffy face. It's the weekend. I can get away with it. I got a DD214 that says I don't have to do shave and haircuts anymore. So, anyways. So yeah, I haven't really been active on the channel much here the last month and a half. Most everybody already knows that it's. My father and I have been practically killing ourselves trying to get their house ready for sale, redoing everything. We finally got that done. So the last couple of weeks, we haven't really had much that we've had to do. We've been able to sit down and take a breather and relax and not have to worry about killing ourselves. The house went on the market. It's been on the market for about 2 weeks. It's been showing every day, but so far no one's made an offer on it. We're going to give it another week. Tribes fan. Oh, gee, interesting to not see a fish tank in the background. Yeah, it's on the other side of the room. You see the fish tank when I'm sitting at the computer, but not when I'm at my actual game table itself. So they haven't had any offers on the house yet, but we're still hoping it'll sell because this is my folks' retirement. So I hope they get lots of money for it. So because of that, I haven't been doing much with the channel. I have been wanting to sit down and play games because I've just been so exhausted mentally and physically. Plus, I've got something else on my table, and we'll be getting to that in a little bit. But I didn't want to get to that quite yet. And I tend to only do one thing on my table at a time. Now, granted, I could be sitting down at the computer and playing computer games. Really, the only tactical, well, not tactical, any real war game I'm playing right now on the computer is Total War 3 Kingdoms. I'm just kind of getting to the point where I'm kind of getting aggressive. And I suppose I could stream that and record that, but when I do my video games, they don't trend real well on the channel. So, whatever. But, yeah, so to show what's on my table, and one of the reasons why I haven't been doing a lot of gaming here lately, is that some sharp-eyed viewers out there may have noticed recently that I've really been doing a lot of stuff with Lock and Load Publishing. Yeah, there's a reason for that. David over at Lock and Load Publishing has been kind enough and gracious enough to allow me to be a reviewer for his company, and allows me a chance to get some Lock and Load product, new and upcoming stuff, get them on the table, give some first looks at it, do a little bit of play testing, get my feedback on it, and basically get the word out to the community, you guys. Because really, honestly, that's what the community is about the fan base. It's all about you guys. Yeah, I do this stuff because it's my hobby, and I like to share it with y'all. And at the end of the day, one of the biggest reasons I do it is for the fans, for the community. So I've been doing a lot of that the last couple months with World War 85, Space Infantry Resurgent. There's some other stuff that I am going to be getting more videos for his product out. There's some beta computer programs, Lock and Load Tactical Digital and Nations of War Digital, that I'm in the playtest beta version of. So we're going to be seeing some videos of that up my trademark soonish time. But the biggest reason why I really haven't gotten much to the table since then is that I asked David one time when we were talking. It's like, what are your requirements for scenario scenario subscriptions to the company? Says, well, send it in. You'd think I'd have more people doing scenarios, but it's not. So it's like, well, I used to design scenarios for Critical Hit, which does Advanced Squad Leader and Advanced Brick System. No, I didn't know that. It's like, well, all right, I don't. I advertise it, but I don't advertise it. I mean, because really, I've got 4 titles, and they're all based on one design work. So, but I've done scenario design before. Last time it was about 10 years ago that I was doing stuff for. It originally started out for the Advanced Brick System. It was the Spanish Blue Division, the 250th Infantry Division, combat operations in eastern Russia. Disco Stu don't advertise. What's up, Uzi? How you doing? Always good to see you. So it was for the Advanced Brick System, Eastern Front, and the one thing that has always, the one thing that Critical Hit has always kind of been the backbone of their products has been historically accurate maps, which from a scenario design point, if you're doing something like Stalingrad or Bulge or D-Day or the big well-known Monte Cassino, you're doing the big well-known battles, then the maps are out there everywhere, are all over the place for it. Even in even Eastern Europe, anywhere that the U.S. operated, you can find pretty good tactical maps to be able to. It's when the problem comes when you start dealing with Eastern Europe and Russia. Now, the Germans were wonderful about keeping records of everything. They were also just as anal about destroying said records at the end of the war. And the Soviets, you can't rely on the Soviets for anything. They mostly just didn't give a F. And, for the longest time, even before even 10 or 15 years after the collapse of the wall and the demise of communism, the Soviets were very tight-lipped and kept a lot of their documents under lock and key. The last 10, 15 years, they've gotten a lot better about releasing maps and information, and we're starting to find out a whole bunch of new stuff that we really didn't know from the Soviet perspective of things. So when you're trying to do a historical map of an actual battlefield location in rural Eastern Europe or Russia, it takes a little bit to try to dig up the maps. When I was designing the scenario, designing the module I was working on, probably it took me about a year to get the entire thing designed with play testing, but I would say a big chunk of that was just trying to get the maps of the area. Now Google Maps is great. I can go to Google Maps and I can see, all right, the 2 villages that the scenario and the hill that the scenario packet is based on is right there. It's there. The little villages have grown up into towns, but that doesn't help me for 1942 maps. And since it was a Spanish Blue Division involved, I downloaded Spanish engine search engines, and I was using that. There's a Spanish Blue Museum, the 250th Infantry Division Museum in Cadiz, Spain. I think it's in Cadiz. I even wrote them to try to get information from them. So when you're trying to design a historical map for a little not well-known rural area, it's a little bit hard to come up with maps. However, as a vast wide selection of Advanced Squad Leader maps and other tactical systems, Lock and Load Tactical uses geomorphic maps. So the historical research into what the actual terrain was isn't there. I just have to find the boards and approximate them, and all right, make up a board or two. And honestly, well, let's take a look. Let's take a look real quick. Lock and Load. I love Lock and Load Tactical's maps. They're so tiny. I mean, this is my bomb. I mean, they're just absolutely tiny. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 hexes down by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 hexes wide. I mean, this panel right here is about half of a map board. It's a little less deep and a little less wide than an ASL geomorphic map board. So basically, 2 Lock and Load Tactical maps roughly equal 1 ASL map. So it's and mostly because it's the size of the hexes. I mean you can just tell ASL and ATS tactical maps are about a quarter that size. I mean, you can just barely get the counters in, and everyone knows Lock and Load Tactical has big counters to begin with. So you compare that to the hex sizes, and of course it makes the hexes real easy. And so, but anyways, with geomorphic maps in scenario design, you just have to approximate the terrain. You don't have to get it absolutely 100% historic unless you want to. And Lock and Load Tactical does have some historical maps. Dark July 43, one of their Kursk, and of course this is all backwards so you can't read it, but it does say Dark July 1943. It's a Kursk battle. Has a historical map in it. And it's pretty good sized. I mean, we'll take a look at this. You know, this would be in ASL terms, you know, this is for for Lock and Load Tactical. This is a huge freaking map. If you were to do this in ASL terms, it'd be maybe 3 map boards. So what am I going on about all this? About this research and the board sizes and the need for finding historical maps versus geomorphic. Well, I pitched going back to what I was talking about earlier, I pitched an idea to Dave of submitting some scenario designs. And he said, yeah, if you got something, send it to me. I'd love to take a look at it. We talked some more. And, you know, it's real easy to sit down and knock out a scenario on the fly. You know, it's like, all right, I want to do, all right, let's just take these counters, make some victory conditions, some objectives, put some chroma to it, bam, you're done. The hard part comes into getting the historical accuracy in the scenarios done. So we've already established that unless we're doing an actual historically accurate map, we're reduced to geomorphic maps for these tactical games, which is okay. I mean, you just need to get a close approximation to them, unless you're doing a historical map. So I was talking to Dave, and we were kind of throwing back different ideas, what he wanted me to do. It's like, listen, if you want me to come up with one-off scenarios, I can do that all day long. He says, well, how about working on a module, an actual physical module, a book, kind of like how the Dark July is an expansion for the Lock and Load Tactical System, Heroes of the Motherland. I know it's backwards, you can't read it, I'm sorry. Just trust me, it says Heroes of the Motherland. So it's like, all right, cool. Yeah, I can do that. What period do you want to look at? We were thinking maybe Stalingrad, but he said he had some other stuff in the works with Stalingrad maybe in the future, so didn't want to do that. It's like, well, what about Case Blue? It's the German summer offensive 1942. And so we decided, all right, let me put together a project, 1942 Case Blue, and see what I can come up with it, submit it to him. So that's really. And we talked about that 2.5, 3 months ago. Of course, I got sidelined with the house and then getting into research mode. But let's go ahead. Can we flip this around? I think we can flip it around. Let's go ahead and take a look at what's on my table. There we go. Yeah. So this is currently my table. Let me lower this back down. There we go. Whee! Hope I didn't make anybody dizzy. I have a very small playing area when it comes to my games, and I don't want to say I can multitask well. I can. It's just I prefer to do laser sight, working on one project at a time. So yeah, this is what my table is occupying right now. I'm doing my research. Oh my God, into throwing together a scenario pack for Case Blue for the Lock and Load Tactical System for owners of Heroes of the Motherland. Now, I don't know how long this is going to take me. Like I said, my last project took me a year to work on, but again, there were a lot of the historical maps were the biggest deal. I don't have that constriction. I can use geomorphic maps. And so kind of what David has wanted me to do is have the module have 4 to 6 to 8 new maps. So I do need to design some maps, but again, rural maps of east of the Soviet Union, down near the Caucasus and along the Don River, not going to be too hard to come up with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk a little bit of what it takes to do a scenario design. Now, once I established that I was going to be working on Case Blue, I needed a good resource guide. And I talked to a lot of people, and because I don't have any good resource guides in my own personal library. Those were in my personal library. We're getting that. So I had to go out and purchase this. To the Gates of Stalingrad, Soviet-German Combat Operations. My God, this is a thing. It's like 650 pages. It is a very, very, very dry read. I mean, there's no getting around it. It's like reading through the desert. You got to have a couple glasses of ice water with you if you're gonna be if you're gonna be reading this. However, it's giving me exactly what I want. If you want to know where a battalion or a regiment was operating on what day, at what time, this book is going to have it. And this is the kind of book that you initially need to find out where the major hotspots were and get some ideas on what you're going to do for your scenarios. So I really recommend books like this because you just need to find out where the fighting was going on, and sometimes it'll give some kind of a little bit interesting tidbit or whatnot, but mostly it's a dry read. But it's a really great resource. Out of this book, I have managed to come up. And yes, I know my handwriting is god-awful horrible, but I can read it, so that's okay. So these are just some of my notes. 28 June, 3 July, or 23 August, that was the overall. And then going through the book, looking at, the first attacks, advanced I'm not even going to try to pronounce because I hate trying to pronounce, fifth tank counterattack. I got all these hot spots, which would make for good scenarios, and I came up with about 12 of them, which is what I was originally going for. So now that we've got the ideas of where generally we want the scenarios located, then we have to go through and we have to find out what units were operating there. And again, this book was great for that because it broke it down. So we got the first attacks, and really it wasn't that hard because the Germans had 68 divisions on the initial attacks. So I had a lot, and the Case Blue spanned, a couple thousand square kilometers of operations anyways. So I knew I had plenty of width, of breadth of stuff to work with, but so I had to narrow it down to what I thought was interesting. So the first attacks, we're doing the opening attack, which was 28 June to 3 July. That was the period that could be considered the opening attacks. So it came down, discovered 9th Panzer Division, which kind of was responsible for blowing a hole open along a road to a small town and then advancing on to a kind of a very important strategic city. And so continue reading some more information. Okay, and they started off with a bunch of recon attacks. All right, so we don't have. I haven't seen a lot of recon-based scenarios. So let's do a recon attack. That sounds pretty good. So we're going to do a recon attack, Germans versus Soviets, and so we know it's the 9th Panzer Division. And we had to find out which brigades and which companies and all that were. But we also had to find out the Soviet defenders. Eventually narrowed it down. 121st Rifle was in the area as part of the Soviet defensive formation. 121st Rifle Division was like, all right, cool. They standard infantry complement, but they also had some 45 millimeter ATGs. All right, that's cool. I'll put that in there. And so I just need to narrow it down a little bit more. It's like, all right, what are we doing with the Germans? So with the Germans, their recon units was the 59th Motorcycle Battalion. So, and their motorcycle battalions were armed with motorcycle squads. And honestly, nowhere in Heroes of the Motherland or Dark July is there any motorcycle-equipped troops. There just isn't any scenarios that use Now, motorcycle units are in Lock and Load Tactical, just not many scenarios on. It's like, all right, fine. Here we got a recon attack. It's a formation that used motorcycle units. We're going to use motorcycle units because that is a scenario that hasn't been seen a lot of style. And so they had some armored cars and, anti-tank rifles and some other attached units. So these are all just notes that I've jotted down. So now that I've got this, now that all I need to do is decide how many attacking forces are, and I think what we're going to do is we're going to go with 9 squads and like 1, 2, or 3 armored cars. From there, I decide, okay, what would be a good match for the Soviet defenders? It's probably going to be 2 45 millimeter anti-tank guns, some infantry, but since it's a reconnaissance attack, I need to figure out, all right, what kind of objective and chrome can I put into it to make it an exciting and balanced attack and a scenario that somebody's going to want to play. That I haven't gotten to that point yet. We're not at that stage of the game yet. We're just at finding the locations, what units were there, what were the units, or what actual physical equipment did those units have. Okay, so we have this next one. The advances is a Soviet withdrawal to avoid encirclement. I found that reading through this book. So, all right, cool. Again, we have the 9th Panzer returning, and they were attacking with the, which unit? I can't even remember which unit. It was a Kampf group, I think, at the time. And where this encirclement happened, we had, for the Soviets, the 284th Rifle and the 1st Infantry Anti-Tank Destroyer Division. All right, fine. We know what the units are. Let's go in. Now, trying to find out what the 1st Infantry Anti-Tank Destroyer Division was a pain in the butt. Soviet infantry divisions, German divisions, typical, they were usually standardized, so it's not too hard to find. To Google, honestly, Google is what I use for a lot of my research to back up my physical book research. But it took me forever to figure out the 1st Destroyer Division was actually infantry and anti-tank. It wasn't a division, it was a brigade. I think it was 2 brigades that they threw together and called them the 1st Destroyer Division, that were equipped with 45 millimeter, 76 millimeter, and infantry with ATRs, at least from the 284th Rifle. It's like, all right, cool. And the Germans have an armored formation attacking with the 9th Panzer. We know that they had SIG 33s, Panzer 4Fs, Panzer 3Js and Hs, Panzer 4Gs, that's a Panzer 2F, and then page 144 for the exact reference in here. So, all right, cool. We've researched it out. We've got a good idea how we're going to go, and blah, 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 blah. Rinse, wash, repeat. I've gotten 5 of those scenarios to that stage, so that means I got about 7 more. What I also want to do eventually is throw together a campaign system. I'm nowhere near that. Let me get the scenarios done first, and then we go on to the campaign. And like I said, I've got my books, some research. I love this one. This is great for research. Anybody who's a World War II historian or researcher, you need to have this book, Encyclopedia of German Tanks World War II. Great book, tells all the models, the years of operation, the differences in the models from the previous models. So, and it goes through most, heavy tanks. We're getting into semi-tracked vehicles. Most anything that was a fighting vehicle that the Germans had. Great reference material to find what tanks were available to what units at what time. The German generals talk, Anvil of War. That's good for kind of overall operational type stuff. Again, very dry. Then you also got to look for some in the trenches type stuff. War on the Eastern Front. That's the book that I got there that I'm probably going to pull a scenario out of, because that is more in the trenches, telling it from the soldier's perspective, which for when you're doing a tactical game, sometimes very, very helpful. So that's what I've been working on. I figure if I push it, I need to research out, and research takes so much out of me. If I'm lucky, I can research one potential battle a day, because I got to cross-reference and walk back and forth between my table and the computer and yada, 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 yada. So maybe in a couple weeks, I'll have all 12 scenarios firmed up of how they're going to be laid out. Then I can start working on maps, exact unit compositions, scenario design, or the scenario victory conditions, chrome, all that good stuff. The other thing I had to do, and a good designer will do this when he's creating modules for other systems, is get a counter count of the game that you're basing the module on. There is a company out there, Critical Hit, who has a nasty tendency to put out scenarios that you don't have the counters for unless you bought like 3 or 4 of their other games. In my opinion, that's just bad business practice. So in this module, when I make up, I need to know, hey Dave, how you doing? Everybody check out Dave's sports channel. He did what's the game? I can't even remember the name of the football game, because I was looking at buying it too. Anyway, Dave's been doing some great football videos here lately. He did a couple good ones. He's doing a 1979 series. It was, and I'm probably going to screw this up, Dallas and the Patriots versus, and then the other game he did was Pittsburgh and Miami, I believe. And I lost my fake bets on both those games. So real fun. I mean, 15, 20 minutes for him to do an entire game. Go check him out. It's really good stuff. But anyway, so the one thing I absolutely hate is not having enough counters in the game to do the scenario. So I had to go through Heroes of the Motherland. And that's why I didn't punch the game yet, because I need to know exactly how many counters are in there. Count out how many counters there are, and then if I need if I'm calling for more counters than are in the game, I need to make sure we get a counter sheet printed up with those counters on it. It's just, again, Critical Hit is just infamous for not giving you the counters you need. ASL is a lot better, although there's been a couple times I've come across scenarios where you just didn't have enough scenarios. And since we're requiring that Heroes of the Motherland is the only box you need to play these scenarios, I need to make sure that you have all the counters. So, and already in the first scenario, I mean, like I said, with the Germans, I'm going with 9 squads of infantry, probably up to 3 armored cars, the 231s, a couple 8-wheel or a couple ATRs. I need to make sure that you have those counters to play. Well, in the base game of Heroes of the Motherland, there's no motorcycle infantry in it, none whatsoever. Rules are in the book, but there's no counters for it. So I need to make sure we get at least 9 motorcycle infantry put on the counter sheet. There's no 231 armored cars. He's got armored cars for the 232s, but none for the 231. So we need to make those get on there. So that's why I have my master list of all the counters that's listed in the game by faction. You know, you got the Soviets, you've got SS, you've got German, you've got Guards. I need to figure out the Soviet NKVD troops. I think I can use just normal Soviet counters for those and just give them some special rules because, you know, they were garrison units and political units and not really great frontline fighters. So that's what that's kind of what has been occupying all my time. There's part of me that's thought about getting something onto the table, doing some gameplay, but then that would interrupt with my research space, and I can't do that. I don't want to interrupt with my research space because then that'll break my flow from the research, and it's hard for me to get back into that because I procrastinate sometimes. I try not to, but I am a lazy man sometimes. So you're probably not going to be seeing much tabletop gameplay from me for the next few months, because even once I get the scenario designs out, then I'm going to be going into map design, and then I'm going to need to play test. And I'm not going to play test. Yours were misprinted. How were yours misprinted? Did you get? I think I talked to you. Didn't I tell you that you needed to go to their Facebook, or not their Facebook, their website, and you could report it as a problem. And they resend it to you. Didn't we have you do that, Lead Magnet? I thought you were the one that we were talking about. Because that's the great thing about Lock and Load Publishing. If you have a problem with counter sheets, counters, whatever, just go to the hey, Bobby Cantillano, how you doing? Just go to. Oh, okay. When did you put the ticket in? Because if they should have gotten back to you by now. You may need to go back to the website and follow. Because Dave's usually really good about wanting to make sure that he gets the replacement parts out to people. So if it's been more than a couple weeks, you may need to remind. And David's a very busy individual. There'll be times when I'm seeing him on at like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. So he gets a little bit overwhelmed sometimes. So sometimes just a gentle reminder is needed. My counter sheets turned out pretty good. And really, you can't really blame David. He doesn't do. Pony, I do not have a team for playtesters yet. And yes, I need to talk to David about that. I don't know if he wants to make it open call for playtesters or if he's got a group of guys that he wants to playtest. I would like to put out an open call to playtesters. The problem is, again, there's going to be upwards of 8 new maps for the module, plus at least 1 sheet of counters. So you might need to print some stuff out on your own. I don't know what David's policy is for in-house design playtesting for other people. I'm not really an employee of the company, but I don't want to say I'm a consultant, but like I said, I'm a reviewer / playtester / third-party design. I don't even want to say a third-party designer, but I am doing design work that hopefully Dave will accept as a submission. So I can't really speak to what his in-house playtesting. I know what my playtesting was when I did my modules originally back for ASL and ATS. And it is a pain in the butt to deal with. Just like I said, just give a gentle, soft reminder. So yeah, if I do put the call for open play testers, I don't know how we're going to get you the extra counters slash map sheets other than maybe having you print them out on your own. I can't speak to that. I haven't I haven't gotten that far yet. I haven't. So I'm gonna have to get with David on that. But my wish is to put out an open call play testers for people. Primarily because the last time I did module design, again back when I was working doing modules or scenarios for ASL and ATS, my playtesting teams were very, very tiny. I had very small plate, and there were glaring issues that cropped up. The more eyes you get on something, the better. Now I did a pretty good job on my own, but like in the first scenario of the module, the first scenario I designed and put out to the guys, half my playtesters were getting wildly different results than what I was coming up with when I was playing. I guess because I knew how the flow of the battle historically went, and I was going with that. I don't think we need. Let's go ahead and flip this back around so everybody can see me again. I knew what the flow of the battle. Yeah, arts and crafts are usually required for playtesting. You are correct. I can't tell you how many times I've had to print out stuff on my own and all that other stuff. But anyways, all right, let's get back so we can see my beautiful. All right, maybe not so much beautiful face. The way I was playing the game was different than a few of the other games were, and that's fine. You have different metas out there, and the more people you can get eyes on product, you can work out the bugs in scenario. And I'll be honest, it is harder to balance a smaller scenario than it is to balance a larger scenario, because one bad dice roll in a smaller scenario has a greater effect on the gameplay than one bad dice roll in a big scenario. And a lot of my scenarios I did were really tiny. I mean, under 20 counters total on the map board. They were small engagements. And again, I was getting my feet wet with scenario design. I'm looking for bigger scenarios this time. 2 to 4 map panels of lock and load maps at the minimum. So I want to be more. I've already got one scenario in mind that's going to have 24 tanks in it. 12 on each, probably 12 on each side, maybe a little bit of variance depending on how the design and the playtesting goes, and trying to get the right mix of Soviet armor. I don't want to give the Soviets 12 KV-1s and the Germans 12 PZ-3Js. It's just not going to be a fair fight. PZ-3Js aren't going to be able to kill shit, and the KVs might be able to knock out some of the PZ-3Js. So that is one thing you always have to be aware of. But like I said, you need a bunch of eyes on the product. What is it from a saying that goes along in computer programming? You can have more people. No, you can have 1,000 people find more problems in 10 hours playtesting a game than you can having 10 people play 1,000 hours in a game. So it's always a good idea that you need lots and lots of all right, so yeah, sorry to see this. Stuka Joe, my buddy, how you doing? Good to see you, man. Glad you're doing all right down there. I'm hoping everything got fixed down there where you're living, and really good to see you again. And hey, you seen our buddy Derek's back. He's gonna start doing. Of course, you've seen it. You see everything that's going on. But good to see Derek's back in the mix too. So, but anyways, like I was saying, so yeah, my idea is that when I get to the playtest stage, I want to have as many people playtesting this as possible. Again, it's all going to be David's final decision. If he wants me to keep it small, then we're going to have to keep it small. If he's okay with me opening it up, then I'll go to the Facebook and I'll go to the forums and say, hey, I need playtesters. I probably won't send out all the scenarios. I'll send out people, parts of them, 4, 5, 6 scenarios. Again, it's all going to come down to what David and I talk about, basically, since I'm doing this work for him, he's the boss, so, and I'm flexible anyway, so I can always do that. So that's not a problem. I mean, that's what's been on my table. That's my table. Whoops, wrong way. Crap. Oh, well, never mind. You saw my ceiling. Yeah, that's basically what I'm working on. I'd love to get some tabletop gameplay in. I've had my eyes on doing Ice War, which is an old metagames concept game. It was the first war game I ever bought in like 1980. for like $2.95, and it was always one of my favorite games. Not a real good solo game, but still fun to play anyways. And it's fun to look at how the old designs from the companies back in the day in the Silver Age of gaming, Golden Age, I guess is all how you define it. I've had some requests to get back to Sixth Fleet. I want to get back to doing some Sixth Fleet. Been a couple 3 years since I did Sixth Fleet. I know Al wants me to get back to Gunslinger. I have a lot of fun with Gunslinger, so I want to get back to doing that. And I've just got so much stuff going on. Yeah, and obviously I'm gonna have more Lock and Load stuff coming as it's released and as it's being published and being released. So again, I just want. Oh, I should probably I need to give a special shout out to a buddy of mine, Dave Lamb, big in the ASL community. Back when I was designing my module, I primarily designed it for the Advanced Brooks system. And Dave was the one that actually took it and converted it into ASL. It would have, I don't think it would have ever gotten to see the light of day as an ASL product if it wasn't for Dave. So, I just want to give Dave a shout out. And I also want to give a shout out during that era to another buddy of mine, Hans Koenig, who is my editor at the time. I'm sorry, it was so horrible. I write like I speak, which really isn't proper English. So sometimes I have to really work with my verbiage and to be able to enunciate and articulate in a grammatically correct way. And I have issues with that, especially 10 years ago. So yeah, Hans and another friend of ours, Drew Dorman, who's passed on, kind of took the brunt of editing. And Hans is actually still out there editing. He's actually now editing he's doing some editing work for Lock and Load Publishing. So it's amazing how the community, we're not a big community. We know everybody. We know everybody that's out there. So, but again, I just wanted to sit down with everybody. I wanted to let everybody know why I haven't been getting a lot of videos out. Like I said, yeah, computer gameplay. I do that as a form of escapism. In fact, I do way too much of it as a form of escapism. But the reason I haven't been doing anything on the tabletop is because I'm in research mode right now. And I'm going to be in research mode for a while. I'm really concerned about just getting the basic scenario designs and the ideas done. Then maybe I can back off a little bit, relax, and maybe get something to the table before I start really ratcheting down on it. And a lot of the map work I can do on the computer anyways. It's just templates and just drawing out how I want the maps to look. I wish I had more time. Well, that's not true. I have a lot of free time. I wish I had the energy and the drive to do multiple things at once, and I wish I had the table space so that I could set up a game, be playing it, have my research space. I just don't have that. I mean, props to guys like Stuka Joe. Wonderful setup. Go check out his videos. His Al, what's up, buddy? Joe's his production value is just through the roof, and it's kind of funny. I hope I don't bust you out on this, Joe, but he'll redo a video 3 or 4 times in post-production, put it up. Oh, I missed this, and I need to put it in. I think it's great. I couldn't do that. I suck at post-production work. But Joe is very detail-oriented about that. Sports Time Machine, how are you? Welcome. Go check out those great sports channels, both Al Red Sox fan and Sports Time Machine. Al, are we doing Chat with Al tonight? I just needed to throw that out to you real quick. And of course, Kev over at Big Board Gaming has got massive amount of space. He's got like 4 or 5 games set up. I wish I just don't. And so that's why you haven't seen a lot of me. But yeah, but yeah, Stuka, I've mentioned this to you before. You and Kev are 2 of the people that drove me to start getting into video wargaming. I don't think if the 2 of you's high quality and professionalism, I don't think I really would have gotten into it. But I can only hope to be as good as you at someday. But then again, like I said, I suck at post-production video work, so man's got to know his limitations. So, but again, Stuka Joe, probably the godfather of us all, right up there with Kevin. And make sure you go check out Dan Bencaldi's No Enemies Here. You want to know what's going on in the wargaming community? Check out his every Saturday episode. Yeah, I know, and that's the thing. I mean, I've heard, and I want to go off on a little tangent. Well, it's not really a tangent, but I've talked to other people about this, and I don't want to name names just because I don't want to bust them out or anything. But people complain about, oh, this guy's got more subscribers than me, and this guy's got more subscribers, and so on and so forth. It's like it's not about how many subscribers you got. I mean, the simple fact is there's what 20 of us 20 channels that do stuff on a regular basis, and that ain't enough to cover everything that's out there and all the different styles. Me, I'm a game player. I like having the stuff on the table. I like pushing the counters around. I like showing everybody I really don't know what I know about the rules by making rules mistakes all the time. But that's my thing. I like playing the games. I can do unboxings. Everybody does unboxing. I don't want to do unboxings unless it's for something special and I get, something like the promo copies that Davis sent me. And no, actually, Al, it's not that hot. It was hot on Wednesday. It got up into the 90s on Wednesday because I was up mowing my folks' lawn. It's in the 70s here today, but I got the AC hooked up. In fact, you can see it right there behind me. So there's the AC. It's going. So I'm good and comfortable. But yeah, Joe, you're right. I mean, there's just there isn't enough of us. And I was talking to a guy who is starting up, and and this is kind of the advice I give to anybody who comes to me saying I want to do a video channel, be it war gamers or sports channel guys, because I do cross reference with both. If anybody's watched my videos long enough. I like sports gaming. I like war gaming. And I was talking to this guy, and it's like, well, how do you do it? Well, you just do it. The biggest thing is don't try to be like someone who's already out there. Don't try to be like me. Don't be the next me. Don't be the next Stuka Joe. Don't be the next Kev. Don't be the next L Red Sox. Don't be the next Retro Sports Network. Don't be the next. Be the first you. It's going to take you a little bit to find it, but you're going to find it. You just have to stick with it. And honestly, I don't do this for money. This is a hobby. I don't think I should be making money really off of a hobby. That's just the way I am. If I can make money off a hobby, that's fine, but I'm not going to go out of my way to do it. I don't monetize, and I've been wanting to get into this topic for a while. Yeah, I know, I'm just rambling. Allow me to bloviate. I don't monetize. My channel is not monetized. I don't have a Patreon. A couple times I put the call out, I need a new headset, and people have responded, and I appreciate that. But I'm not trying to make money off you guys. I mean, this is a hobby. This is something we do for fun. I don't want it to because monetizing then makes it feel like it's work, and I don't want it to be work. This is gaming. This is for fun. It's like, Joe, your band. I'm sure you make money off of it, but I'm sure for the most part, you also just do it for fun. So, and that's the way any hobby should be. Also, plus the restrictions that YouTube is throwing down and the banning of a lot of channels. It's getting ugly out there. I hate the ads. I just absolutely. Plus, YouTube starts really looking a lot closer at your videos, and it's like already, all right. First of all, I'm in a niche hobby of a niche hobby, and by YouTube standards, it's controversial because it's talking about battle and war and, oh, there's Germans, you're a Nazi. Yeah, I've gotten that a few times. I don't need YouTube prying into what I'm doing on my channel anyways, because I'm trying to fly under the radar as much as possible. Ads suck, especially when live. Hey, Ron, how you doing, bud? And yeah, I hate ads as well. That's another reason why I was thinking of doing Twitch originally. Yeah, to stay away from banning. Don't mention the Germans too much, or the Confederates. Yeah, that's another death knell right there. So I don't monetize. I don't want to make money off of you guys. I want you guys to watch, enjoy, and have fun, and I don't want to make it work for me. I guess really that's all I had to say. I mean, I know a bunch of you have kind of come in. We've actually got 10 people viewing. I'm blessed that I have that many. I really do appreciate all of you guys coming in to watch my fat ass talk about stuff. But no, yeah, you need a low-cut shirt on Twitch. Yeah, you're right. I do not have the body. BitChute, I don't like dealing with cryptocurrency. I think there's something inherently shady with cryptocurrency. Yeah, 12. You know what, Dave? I'm going to leave the body painting up to you. I'll let you do that. I don't think anybody wants to see me. okay, I'm a bear. I'm a daddy type. I don't think anybody wants to see me in body to paint. I mean, I wear long sleeve shirts for the most part. I don't even like seeing myself. Anyways, so now we're definitely veering into dangerous territory. So I just wanted to do this video because, like I said, I haven't talked to everybody in a while. I haven't actually just sat down and told everybody what's going on. I mean, I have been kind of absent the last couple months, and there are reasons for that. And I just wanted to explain the reasonings. And now, what I'm saying with this module that I'm working on for you'd be surprised. No, I don't want to be surprised, Dave. I don't want to be surprised, Dave. Not at all. No, it's just bad, bad, bad. Now, there's no guarantee that this module is going to get published. There's no guarantee of that, and I'm fine with that. I've made other submissions to game companies before they got turned down. You know, honestly, you're going to get a lot more rejections than you're going to get acceptances. But you got to keep trying. Where's the monkey? You got to keep trying, or you're never going to get anything published. So I would like to see this make publishing one time. It might not. I hope it does, and I hope people have fun playing it. Only time will tell. I mean, at the end of the day, it comes down to, can David make money off of this? Is this something Lock and Load can sell and make money? I understand the realities of it. It's capitalism. I'm a big fan of capitalism, baby. If I can make a product that people want and can sell it, I'm all right there with it. If it doesn't sell, then that's telling me I'm not making a good enough product, and I need to step up my game. So that's all I've got. I've been rambling on for about 50 minutes. It's close enough time for me to get dinner. Yeah, like I can go without dinner, but I'm going to do it anyways. I might be back later with chats with Al, our pop culture sports weirdness that we do on Saturday nights with GGO and the HR monkeys. So that's all I got, boys and girls. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, coming out, supporting me. I appreciate it. No, we're not getting into the line of sight with Hills, Al. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms in the comment section. It's great to see you, Joe. I really appreciate it. I always try to catch all of your videos. I may not comment all the time, but I do definitely try to watch them all. So, my brothers and sisters out there, I thank you. See ya!